Welcome, 22-1, Thomas. It is a huge day of horse racing, a huge weekend. We got Arkansas Derby.
Everywhere, anywhere in the world you turn, you're going to have a big day.
Huge days all around the planet, but none are going to be richer than the ones that we're going to talk about, and that's the Dubai World Cup. Of course, tomorrow is the Florida Derby. I think one of the best precursors, if you will, or predictors of who will run well in the Kentucky Derby. We have already done over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There's a link in the description below. All of our picks are in. The wagering guide's in. I think it's going to be a day of some chalk horses, but I think there's a few races that are just really, really wide open. Again, you can get that down in the description below. Make sure you don't miss that. Arkansas Derby 2. So we're going to get 4 Kentucky Derby winners in the States, Kentucky Derby entrants, and at least 1 or 2, right, in Dubai.
Well, so one for sure.
One for sure. So yeah. A lot of that field will be filled in tomorrow, but we're going to do not Arkansas, not Florida. We're going to go to Dubai, Thomas. You ready to get started?
Absolutely. And you're doing the first race, right?
Yeah. Well, the Arabian horses take the undefeated one. Okay. Now we're out of that. So we're going to go to race number 2, which is going to start at approximately 8:05 a.m. Eastern time. And that one is the Godolphin Mile, Mr. Thomas. So, well, I mean, that tells you they're going to run 1 mile, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I have this thing in meters because I couldn't find any other one. So 1 mile is how many meters, Tom? I don't have my mile converter.
1,600 meters.
1,600 meters?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to start here on the – is this one on the dirt track, right?
This is a dirt race.
Yeah, so 1,600 meters. They're going to start in the chute. They'll come up the chute, down and around the bend, and down and around through. I've heard the track defined or described as a sandy, deep surface. Thomas, is that about what you've heard too?
They've changed it over the years, but I would say it's a little deeper than most horses are used to from the States.
So that would favor, in your opinion?
Well, basically horses that can run on a little deeper type of track. Oh, they're not going to just fly over the top of it, so to speak. They're going to have to dig in a little bit.
Be a little more fit then. All right,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, fitness is definitely going to be a tell. You find that in some of the races that were run last week at Doncaster on the the soft to heavy turf. Mm-hmm. Little more fitness, and horses that could go longer distances were doing pretty well in those shorter races.
Well, we're going to get cracking at the Godolphin Mile, Thomas. So we've been hot the last couple of weeks. Let's see if we can continue to light that fire. Who's going to be fire in this race, Tom?
I'm going to start with number 4, Isolate, who's going to break from post 11. In the Saudi Cup, it was asked to go too far. He ran in the middle of the pack and ran on well, and then faded. Similar to Saudi Crown, who also showed a lot of speed and then backed up. He finished 6th in that race. Before that start, he went 1-2 in Meydan. Both were at 1 mile, and they were decent times too. He's originally started his racing in the States, and then was moved over. I think the cutback in distance is key. He's shown that he can run well at Meydan, and he certainly got the ability. I just think they were asking too much out of him, and frankly, for a $20 million race, I would have to say a fit horse. Why not, right?
Yeah, and the Patty and Dean Reeves, I know at one point, I think they still own Isolate. They're 2 wonderful people, great friends of the show. They also have a horse running in the Florida Derby, I think Strong Macho or Simply Macho. I can't remember the name of that horse. So they got big horses running all over the world, including Isolate. Tom, aside from Isolate, who else do you like?
I'm going to go with number 10, Swing Vote. A break from number 5. He's a horse that's ran in Europe. Did okay. Only won a maiden race there. One of the races he was in was a handicap race at Chantilly and the undefeated Ace Impact won that race. Not a surprise there because he won the ARC too. But that shows you he did run against some decent company in France, and they moved him to Jebba Ali, and he won 3 in a row, and they were all at 1 mile. They put him. His last effort was a Group 3 at Meydan, and not great, but okay. William Buick stays on him, which I think was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he must think there's something. Finally, I will take the favorites at Saudi Crown. Brad Cox's horse is going to break from number 9. Again, he finished 3rd in the Saudi Cup. Just got run over by 2, frankly, better horses. The only thing with him, and the reason I didn't put him on top was when I went back and looked at where he won. He won at Fairgrounds Parks, and he won a maiden at Churchill. He's been in the money in big races and big places, but he never won there. So I kind of favor a horse that's done better at that track and run well than versus one who just hasn't shown enough yet, for me at least. And that's why I'm going to put him 3rd.
I'm going to start with Saudi Crown. So I'm going to start at the even money horse right now, Saudi Crown. As you mentioned, he just missed in the Saudi Cup. If you think with the name Saudi Crown, he would have won that one anyway. But you mentioned that they ran a little bit longer last time. Cutting back to 1 mile, I think, is going to be a difference maker for Saudi Crown here. So I go from one extreme, the favorite, to maybe the longest shot on the board in here. Southern Artist, number 9. It's all in the start for this horse, Thomas. If the horse gets off to a clean beginning, he's just 3/4 of a length from winning 2 of 3 at 1 mile on the Meydan 1 mile track, Thomas. So maybe a little bit of a price to play right there. I also like the Reeves for horse Isolate. That's my 3rd choice in here, Thomas. I can't bet against Dean and Patty, 2 of the most wonderful people I've ever come across in this business. I think of it the other way around, though. I wonder if maybe the level's a touch too high for Isolate. And then finally, I'm going to go with number 11, 2 Rivers Over at 16 to 1, Mr. Thomas. This one is 3 for 3 when running a mile. The track is the only question. If he likes it, maybe he can go 4 for 4 at a price, Tom. Let's see what Max from Puerto Rico. How you doing? You see the horse you tell last time Sugar Boy run in Tampa last Sunday, come 2 place, but not run for the appearance in the USA. All the way from the one that you mentioned before. I remember. Yeah, I did remember that horse actually, Max. When it ran, when I saw his name in there, I said I remember hearing about that in the comment section. All right, Thomas, we're going to go off to the next race at Meydan. That's race number 3, the Dubai World Cup.
Gold Cup.
Gold Cup. Yeah, Gold Cup. Yeah, there's a big difference, right? One's the big money race, and this one, although
this isn't shabby. I mean, $1 million race is still a reasonable amount of money to put out there.
I'd be more than glad if I had a horse and it won this one and I didn't win the World Cup race. I'd have a good party afterwards for certain. This one's going to be 2 miles, so it's a little bit of a trek for these horses, Thomas. This one is on the turf course. So 2 miles on the turf course. So if it's 1,600 meters, it's going to be 3,200 meters.
They're going to start shoot in the grass chute.
Well, it looks like 3,200, yeah, back here.
Yep.
And they're going to make a 1 full turn and then another full turn around the track. So plenty of position to get yourself into position before the first turn. I mean, this race is going to be one when they come out of the turn with the one who has the most dynamite left in its legs, Thomas. And who do you think that'll be?
All right, I'm going to start with number 11, Siskin. We're going to break for number 6. So last time out, he won by a length at Meydan, going 14 furlongs. Beat Seastone, who's also in this race. He's run not long races before, and one of them he did win was at Belmont. The only concern about that Belmont race is what did he beat? We don't run long races in this country, which is really too bad.
No.
Because I think there's a lot to be said for 2 miles plus. Mm-hmm. But we do have the team of Appleby, Buick, not bad. To give you an idea how well they're doing at Meydan this season, they've won 40% of their races. and that equates to 24 wins from 60 starts.
Sounds like
So
if I trained a horse.
They're sending out fit horses.
Yeah, well, they're prepared.
Yeah. I'm going to take number 9. Roberto Escobar Bart is my next choice. We're also going to break from number 9. He had a poor effort last time out. With 4 furlongs to go, he was basically done. But I think that was the Saudi track, and he may have been one of those horses that just didn't like it. And that's happened before with this horse. He ran an incredible all-weather race at 4th, and he was leading part of the race in that one at Newcastle. He is a front runner. That's generally his style, and yeah, he can hold up for 2 miles. He's done it before. And I'm going to put him on my ticket because I think he's good at going to hit the boards, because I don't think there's a lot of speed in this race, so they could be plotting around.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm going to take Elder. Elder Roa is my final choice, number 10. The post he's going to break from. This is my love-hate horse. I bet him on, like at Royal Ascot, did nothing. Or he hit, and if I don't play him, he wins. His last race was a shorter race than this, but it was a big win. He beat Cyprus, who was the champion distance horse in Europe 2 years ago. And that's a good horse to beat because that's Aidan O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And he beat him by over 3 lengths. My concern is the 2 miles because he's generally likes the little shorter races, but he's just one of those. I'm going to put him on my ticket, but I'm not putting him on top this time.
So now he's going to win, right? Might as well.
That's
folks,
exactly what's going to happen.
Yes, forget about anything else Tom said or anything I'm about to say. Just bet Eldarov since Tom didn't put him on top. But he didn't. I had a 66-1 in my last pick. Tom's like, anything you can do better, I'll do better. I'll go with the hundo to 1 with Roberto Escobar. All right. We both, not shockingly, I think, start off in the same place. So Siskiny is my top choice. This one is undefeated from being undefeated, a neck from being undefeated, in 5 at the Meydan grass track. The neck was here last year. He's a neck away from being undefeated in 5 at the track on grass. Yeah, the neck was in this race last year. I'm sorry.
He ran this race. Yeah, he ran this race.
I should be able to read my own handwriting, right? Especially when I type it out. That's what are you doing when you're handicapping 2 a.m? You forget to leave words in your sentences.
Or you have unique words in the sentences.
Yeah, or it doesn't make sense, and you're just trying to figure it out on the fly, which is how most things in my life go. Number 12, Sober, 33-1 for me. Only 1 bad race in its last 10. It's going to make a second start after a layoff. Won both of the last 2 second up outings. For me, the only question is good footing, right? But did win on an all-weather track. So I don't think the good footing will be an issue. But one of the things that I've found in my research is that the horses that have done the best in this race are French horses. This is a French horse, surprisingly named Sober. Number 2, Coltrane is my third choice in here, Mr. Thomas. This one's been stellar when the horse runs at 2 miles or more. Even better when the footing is good. And I would imagine they're in the desert, so the footing is not going to be soft or heavy unless there's some freak storm over
if they've done either that or they've done a lot of watering.
Yes, indeed. And then finally, I'm going to go with another long shot here, Thomas. I'm all over the place. I got a good stat for you on this one, Tom. El Nair. The pick kind of looks crazy at 40-1, I would say, but jockey Christophe Soumillion ran in this race, or ran 9 times with 3 wins in 5 seconds. That's dominating. He knows how to get his way around this course on this 2-mile race, Thomas. 8 out of 9 at 40-1.
He's got to have a French horse because he rides in France.
Yes. El Nair, I don't know that's a French name, though, but yeah, I never know. All right, let's move off to race number 4 as we are moving our way. In case you missed the Arabian horse, we said take the undefeated horse. All right, this one is the Al Quds Sprint, sponsored by Azizi Developments, a Group 1 on the turf for 6 furlongs. So let's go back to our map here, Thomas, for 6 furlongs. And on the 6 furlong map,
that's pretty easy.
Yeah, they're just going to straight down there from the 1,200 meter mark. It's probably just going to giddy up and go in this one, Tom. When they're all done firing in this field, who do you think is going to collect the big check?
Yeah, I'm going to start with number 8, King Gold from post position 9. That's definitely a long shot.
Yeah, 80-1 right now.
And he's ran okay last 2 times. He's got he's only 4 lengths behind, and that's kind of a typical before he pops for something good. His biggest success last year was at Deauville. It was in a Group 1. He beat Spycatcher, and that is a straightaway, about 6.5 furlongs, and he did pay handsomely that day too. I think they've been getting him ready for this race.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been not looking to extend him any more than they've had to. What's interesting is he's gotten better with age, because where he started out was what I would call the backwater tracks of France, and now he's in the big stage and has been for the last year and a half. So I think he's getting ready for this one. But my comment is that you can call me crazy the next day, because probably I am. With that, I'm going to go a little chalkier with number 12, Star of Mystery, with a break for number 8. I went off the favorite last time out, was beaten by Frosted at Dawn, who happens to be in this race. That was by 2.5 lengths. That's a jump on him, the best way to describe it. First jump, and that did the trick for Frosted at Dawn to win. That was a 5 furlong race. I think 6 is a little more suited for him, but he has won at 5. He's been favorite in a lot of his races, that's to say the least. He also has 8 starts, 4 wins, and 3 seconds. So something's right.
Mm-hmm.
And they are changing from William Buick to Frankie Dettori for this race, which was kind of an interesting move. Finally, I'm going to take number 2, California Spangle, with post number 5. This is a horse that's coming in from Hong Kong, and he is the speed in this race without question, because he's been very impressive in his running in the front end, and he's been running a little longer too. But his record at 6 furlongs, or about 6 furlongs, is 5 starts, 4 wins, and a placing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's been out of the money in those races. He actually done very well. He's run against some of the best horses in Hong Kong, like Golden 60. You can hang around with a horse like that, who was ran 29 times and won 26 races. That's pretty good. It'll be interesting so that he handles a straightaway,
Mm-hmm.
because in Hong Kong they don't run any straightaway 6 furlong races. They only run on the turn. So we'll see. He does. But 5 furlong. I should point out though, the 5 furlongs are straightaway.
Mm-hmm.
At Shaheen.
I'm going to go with the horse that did beat Star of Mystery, Frost at Dawn. That's going to be the one I went with. And the reason I'm going to go with this horse, and then I'm going to go with Star Mystery as my next horse, but 4 of the last 6 winners of the Al Quoz Sprint came out of the Nad Al Sheba turf race. He won that race, and the note in there was easily. I know you said they're going a little bit longer, but he pulled away at the end, Thomas. And the only negative here is the one horse, First Post, hasn't done so well in this race. And then I mentioned I'm going to go with Star of Mystery. He, too, came out of the big-time prep race for this one, the Nad Al Sheba turf. And Charles Appleby has been by far the most successful trainer in this race. And this guy did finish second, as I mentioned. Casa Creed, the American horse. It is the only American horse in this race. The American horses that have shipped into this race have done very well. They just haven't won. So Casa Creed is one that you and I saw, right, Tom? In Saratoga last summer. Was that last summer or 2 summers ago?
2 summers ago. He was, he ran in the
4-star Dave, right?
Yeah, 4-star Dave won that.
And then finally, my last selection for this race is going to be number 12. No, not number 12. What the hell? So here I am again with the 3 o'clock in the morning stuff. Number 4. That is Danya. 10-1 right in there. Danya is the defending champion in this race, Thomas.
Yep.
Same exact racing pattern as last year. A couple of 7 furlong races to get that endurance in there, and then cutting back to 6 furlongs for this one. So maybe a little deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra put it. So 11, 12, 3, and 4. How did you like that stat there? That had that prep race all figured out, Tom?
That's very cool.
Yes, and now I just jinxed that stat for certain. Next up for you and I, hopefully we don't jinx any more horses, is the UAE Derby. This one is a 1.5 miles furlong, so a little less than 1.25 miles. This one is on the dirt. So let's pull our picture back up again on the dirt. So you mentioned 1,600 meters. So where are they going to start on this one here? And they make their way around?
1,900 meters. You're going to go once around.
Right here. So a little bit more than once around on the track. All right, Tom. So at 2 turns, again, a little bit of a deep track. So I would expect, especially with that early turn there, early positioning probably going to be kind of important. I don't know necessarily you want to be a front runner, but I don't think you want to get caught wide all the way through that first turn and then try to jostle for position on the back stretch. So some tactical speed could probably be useful. If not, just get your space and down to the rail, save ground. The end of the race, Thomas, who will do the best job of navigating those 2 turns?
I'm going to start with number 5, Forever Young, who's breaking from one of the outside posts of 11. He comes into this race, he's undefeated. Last race was in Saudi Arabia, and he had to, he was sort of held back a little, switched to the outside, had some traffic issues, and still was able to run down Bookham Dano by a head. And that was a really impressive race. Go back and watch it because he really motored to get up in time. He's running 2 races in Japan that were listed, a 9 furlong first and then an 8 furlong race. And he's done well. When you're undefeated. One thing to note on this one is that they want to get in the Kentucky Derby, and so they got to win this race to be able to make the field.
Got to win in your in, baby.
So there is a lot of incentive to have that horse fit and ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with number 7. Guns and Glory is my next choice. I'm going to break from number 7. Last race was a win, and it was his first win after 3 tries. I went 9.5 furlongs and won by over 12 lengths. Also impressive because the race before that, he was beaten by a horse that's in this race. So, he's a good local horse, and he's well-bred. He's by Gun Runner. And the Gun Runners put out a few decent horses out there. So I think that this distance and everything and the way he came out of that last race, because we're running the same distance again, very impressive. Number 4, Ballon d'Or is going to be my final choice. I was going to break for number 4.
Come on, as a soccer fan, you got to know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Some 2-year-old it was late December when it got its first start. Small field, won that one. They placed him in a Group 3 race in Japan, missed by a neck. Last race, first time really at a major track in Tokyo, and he was a bit of a disappointment, but he had some issues, and he ran 6th in that. I personally thought this was a very hard race. How you evaluate your Uruguay form and Argentine form and all kinds of stuff. And I just had to pick one, and I thought this one seems to have the best chance, and certainly looks like he's fit.
Well, you mentioned how do you measure the form? Well, one thing I can tell you that this particular spot, the UAE Derby, it's been all about the Japanese horses of late. And you pointed out the one Japanese horse that I think is the best of the bunch. That is Forever Young, Tom. And as the Australian announcer said, you just don't know how good a horse is until it loses, right? So hasn't done that yet. Let's see if it can make it a half a dozen. I'm going to go with the horse right below it then as my second choice, George Tesoro. George is my, like when I pretend I'm somebody I'm not, that's the name I go with. This one's taking a pretty big step up in class, Mr. Thomas. But this is the first at the distance that this horse is going to go. And it looks to me from the past performances that the longer the race goes, the better this horse gets. I think you're going to see a heck of an effort out of George today or tomorrow. Mendelssohn's Bay, the 10 horse, is my third choice. I think this might be one of the better UAE horses in the field. This guy is going to be coming aggressively at the end of the race, and one that I can say for certain is going to appreciate running longer today. And finally, number 8, Henry Adams is my final choice in there, Thomas. 9-1 right now. Probably been running against the top company out of anybody in this field. And I'm going to continue with my theme in this race that the horses that are getting some extra distance today will be the ones that benefit the most. And Henry Adams can be counted amongst that group. So 5, 6, 10, and 8 for me in the UAE Derby. Next up on our list, Thomas, as we move our way through this card, is race number 6 on the Dubai card. So race number 6, just to give you an idea what time this one might go off. This one's going to start at approximately 10:25 a.m. Eastern. And again, this time they're going to run 6 furlongs. This time they're going to do it on the dirt, Mr. Thomas, not on the turf course. They're going to start here, and then they're going to make their way around one turn through the track. So they got a pretty good amount of room over there to get themselves positioned for that turn. I would expect this race, like many of these races on this deep track, the horse that could come out of that turn with a lot of momentum and build towards the finish line, I think those would be the ones that get the best chance of getting the job done. Tom, who's going to be the one that hits that finish line and smiles and says cheese for the winner's photo?
I'm going to start with number 5, Hopkins, breaking from number 9. He was nosed out in his last race, a grade 3 at Santa Anita by Big City Lights. In January, he lost by a little over a length at Santa Anita again. But I think the goal is this race because he ran in this race last year and got a 4th. And, you know, he's a pace setter. Luis Saez is up. Yeah, I think he knows how to ride horses pretty well. And this horse seems to be well positioned to do well here.
Mm-hmm.
And take number 11, Remake, my next choice, breaking from 8. Last year he ran this race. He closed strongly, but just didn't get it done. Finished 5th. Then he's taken an interesting journey since that one. He went into Seoul on the all-weather track there and won that one. And, well, no, I should say that's not right. He lost to Igniter, who happens to be in this race, by about 1.5 lengths. I shouldn't say that because then he won his next start. And that was in Saudi Arabia, and he was 2-1 favorite, and somebody liked something because he looked really good. Another pace setter. It's going to be interesting to see because there seems to be speed on the outside. So if they can establish, I think the rest of the field could be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I will take one of the closers, and that's number 10, Nakoma. From break from number 7. He raced in Tampa Bay against the winner of the last time in this race last year, and he finished 4th. He tried to run him down, just didn't do it. Breeders' Cup, he ran a decent race. He tracked the leaders and finished 3rd. I didn't think he could match with Elite Power, but you never know. Until they run the race, and they did, and he didn't come in there. Again, he's going to stalk that pace, and I think he's a money horse. And it is interesting that Wesley Ward is now using Jamie Spencer to ride some of his horses. I think he's lost faith in someone going overseas.
I wouldn't mention his name, all right?
All right, say that.
I'm going to go with the 20-1 shot, Mohib. This horse has had some success over this track, 10 times out, 3 wins, 2nd, and a couple of 3rds in there. But he's been especially effective at the distance, 7 races, 4 wins, and a 3rd. He put the horse at any other distance than 6 furlongs in another 7 races. 1 win, 1 second, 1 third. Likes the track, likes the distance. I like the price of 20-1, although I don't like the fact that his odds are going up because the people on the ground are not backing him. It's been smart to back American horses in this race, Tom. They have excelled, no question about that, or U.S. horses anyway. Their form has translated well into this race, and I think of all the American horses, Tom, I feel like this is the best American horse. Number 13, Sibelius. That is, I think, the might be the favorite right now. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, he won this race last year.
Yes. He is, as you mentioned, the defending champion. And if you look through the past performances, again, we have some deja vu all over again because the connections are taking almost exactly the same path that they took last year. I think they're off by like 1 day on the 2 races that they ran in before coming in. And then finally,
they're using the same rider again, too.
There you go. So deja vu all over again. That's my favorite Yogi Berra saying. And then Remake, I agree with you, Tom. This horse did finish 5th in this spot last year. But when you look at its form coming into the race, it was kind of spotty. He's absolutely, unquestionably in much better condition this year. So I think you're going to see a better performance out of Remake, maybe even win this one. I think this, as you mentioned, Tom, is a race that can go a lot of different ways. I put the 4 horses I think have the best chance of winning.
Yeah, just a matter of what happens up front, I think, early in the race. Getting it into position is going to be very key.
So race number 7 is the Dubai Turf, sponsored by DP World. It's a Group 1 on the turf race. They're going 1 mile and a furlong. So I think in our parlance, that is a mile and a 16th, right?
Yeah.
So 1 mile.
For a mere $5 million.
Yeah, they're running for chump change, bro. All right, so 1 mile and a 16th. So we're looking at what, like 1,700 meters right in here?
That's 1,900.
1,900. So they're going to start here.
I'm sorry, 1,800 meters.
So I finally got one right. So they're going to make here, and they're going to make a quick turn. No, that's not what's going to happen. That would be a hell of a race, though, wouldn't it?
It would be quick. Yes. You better get great position immediately. And the outside ones you probably could throw out.
Yeah, you probably could. Well, I don't know. The inside ones might get really shuffled at that tight turn, but anyhow,
speed is out on the outside of them.
That's not what they're going to do here. They're going to, hey, you know what? I can draw on this. How about that? So they're going to start here. They're going to go woo around the track and come back to the finish line. Tom, again, plenty of ground to find your positioning on the back. I just wouldn't want to get shuffled here at that turn. So I think you're going to want horses that get themselves in good position to come out of that turn again with some momentum. It's a little bit shorter on the backside there to the finish line. So you're not a whole lot of space to giddy up and go. Build some momentum, come flying out of that turn, find the finish line, Tom, and who's going to find it first?
Number 10, Measured Times, in my top choice. Bringing number 5. He's run the all-weather. He's run the turf in England, done pretty well. A little lower level, but good. Been improving. And then he's looked even better with his last 2 wins at Meydan. Really been running very tough. I mean, let's face it, a horse that wins 5 out of 6 races and finishes second in the other one is probably a pretty good horse.
Mm-hmm.
And gets Buick, which I'd never complain about when he's on a good horse. And this one looks like one of them. I'm going to go with number 5, Deuce. I'm going to break for number 4. They shipped it in 2022. They shipped him to Paris for the Arc. And, well, let's just say he didn't do very well. He finished 19th out of 20 and extremely soft going. But they return him to Japan the next start and at Henshin, and he wins fairly easily. Then they decided to take on, well, Equinox. We know how good Equinox is. And, that was not going to go well for any horse. But they come back and won, beating Star on the Earth last time out in December by a little over a half a length. He wins fresh. He likes this distance. And it is a Japanese horse, so they tend to win a few races.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I'm going to take number 3, Catnip. It's coming out of post position 6. To say that he had a challenging trip last time out at Gulfstream would be nice. He had no room. Finally got a little room, got out, and got 3rd. But I don't think he would have caught Warm Heart. She just looked too tough in that race. He's the thing is that he went off in that race at 47-1, so nobody believed he had much of a chance.
He's going off at 66-1 this time.
Yeah, he raced 4 times last year. He only had 1 win. So, but the comments that I have read say that he looks like one of the best horses there right now. In Dubai, so there must be something right going on. Mm-hmm. I'm going to slip him back in for that 3rd position. Maybe he'll do a little better than that.
I'm going to go with Lord North.
The veteran.
Yeah, a couple of notes about Lord North. We talk about horses for the courses. Well, he's been on the course 3 times. Tom, you know how many wins he has?
Uno, dos, tres. Last time I checked, he's going to try for number 4 in this race. So,
And then he's run at the distance 4 times. You know how many of those he's won?
5.
Cuatro y cuatro, right? 4 for 4 at the distance, 3 for 3 at the course. And how do you bet against that? Oh no! Did I forget to mention that trainer John Godson has entered this race 3 times? Somehow he has 2 wins and 2 placings. I don't know how that math works, but it's like that 5 for 4 you just mentioned. I imagine he had 2 horses in the race at one time. But anyway. And then I'm going to go with the one that you stopped your picks off, Measure Time, as my second selection in here, Thomas. It's another horse that rocks at the track. Both times he's run at Meydan, both times at the distance, both times he ended up. Is it the winner's enclosure there, or do they have another name for it?
I think it is the winner's enclosure.
And if you can just run back 2 races to the Al Rashidia, forgive me if I've totally butchered that. But in that race, he ran at the distance at 1 minute, 46.2 seconds. Tom, a repeat of that race, and guess where he's going to end up again?
In the winner's enclosure.
Absolutely. And then we have some agreement on this race, folks, so I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but Deuce does get my 3rd selection. This is another one of those races where the Japanese bring the horses into Dubai, and they do very well. They shine. This one looks like it's the shiniest of that Japanese bunch. And then finally, I'm going to go with number 14 on the outside here, Voyage Bubble. That one's getting a little bit of action. Opened up its line at 9-1, down to 15 to 2 at the moment. Romantic Warrior, Tom, if I know the name of a foreign horse, that horse better be pretty damn good. Do you think Romantic Warrior is a good horse?
Well, it's one in Hong Kong. It's one in Australia. So in at top level, and it's pretty good.
I don't know what's going on there. Just got hacked or something, because I'm not touching anything and stuff are opening up on my screen. So you hacked me while you're watching it. Cut it out. Yeah, indeed. But in any case, this guy raced out against Romantic Warrior last time out. And just to give you a sense, 18 races, 13 wins for Romantic Warrior. Not bad. Almost 12 million. Or not 12, 12 million euros, but I got a dollar sign on there, so confusing myself once again for that 2 a.m. handicapping. So Romantic Warrior, almost 12 million euros in winnings. This one last time out, Voyage Bubble, finished 2nd by a neck to all those numbers. I think this horse is in peak form for this spot. 2 to go, Tom. Do they have a late daily double? Probably over here they'll have a late daily double.
They don't bet there. Remember, it's a Muslim country. There's no,
and they don't bet, and they don't have odds, which is kind of odd.
Well, the odds these are all coming from either the World Pool or from, in this case, you can pick which one you want to see the odds from, because there's a little pull down.
Well, they're over here, the best odds, yeah.
Yeah, what you're using best odds right now, but there's William Hill and all those are in there, so you can pull it and get different, whatever bookmakers there are now offering those prices right now.
So this is the Dubai Sheema Classic, another Group 1 on the turf. This time they're going to run a 1 mile and a half and 11 yards, Thomas. Those 11 yards could very well be the difference at the end of the race if your horse is not completely fit. So make sure you prep. If you ever have a horse for that extra 11 yards. I always find that like the mile and 70-yard races in these states always kind of make me chuckle a little bit. Why not just go a mile? Why not just go a mile and a half? So I don't know where that extra 11 yards is on that track, Tom, but let's go ahead and look at a mile and a half. And I honestly have no idea where they're going to start on that one. But so what is that going to be? So 2 miles is here. So maybe right around. So they're probably just going to make one trip around the track is what it looks like to me.
Yes.
And the turn comes pretty quickly there, right there, too. So, again, I think positioning could be hugely important in this spot. You don't want to get shuffled and be wide going all the way through that turn. That would be a very difficult task to overcome.
Yeah, this is at this. It's like Belmont. This is the start-finish race. This will start it when they start that extra 10 meters or whatever.
11 yards.
Yeah.
So we know where they're going to start. We know they're going to finish. So who's going to be the first to finish where they started?
Well, I'm starting with number 12, Liberty Island. breaking from number 9 post. She won 4 in a row before she ran into Equinox. Yeah, he set the track record last year at Meydan, so keep that in mind. She was the second choice in that race, the Japan Cup, and yeah, she ran a good race. She beat a lot of good horses, but not one who wanted. She's run 7 times. She's got 5 wins. The other races are seconds. She'll be the favorite. I would be surprised if she isn't. And I think as a 4-year-old, she'll just improve.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like one really good horse.
Yes, she does.
And number 1, Adumco, is going to be my next choice. It's going to be breaking for number 6. They prepped this horse at Shanti on the all-weather. Ran second, a small field, and it was a big favorite. But it tends to do that after a layoff. Doesn't really put the best effort in for whatever reason, because it's gone to Hong Kong and won. It's gone to Munich and Germany and won, and those are Group 1 races. He's laid off before and ran 3rd at Longchamp. Well, a little better race. I don't know. This one's certainly good too. Record is 7 wins and 3 seconds and 3/3 from 15 starts. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to get the top rider in France, Maxime Guillaume, to ride for Andre Fabre. And finally, I'll take a Gosden horse here. I'm going to take Emily Upjohn, who's going to break number 10, who's going to break from number 4. After a layoff, her record is 5 wins and out of 6 tries. And those races are generally against top company. She ran a really poor effort at Ascot in her last race, but she ran poorly. The favorite in this race, or one of the favorites, Augustin Rodin, was pulled up in that race. So, and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Gosden horse, John Thady. She's going to make a good account of herself here. I think she's ready. I don't think they would enter her if they thought they were going to not have a chance.
Well, I'm going to start off, Tom, in this race with 2 to go, the beginning of my daily double, the same place you started. Liberty Island, as you mentioned, Tom, finished second. I mean, it was a well-beaten second behind maybe one of the better, if not the best horses on the planet, being Equinox. Other than that, the horse has run 6 times and is a neck away from winning every one of them. So clearly, don't put Equinox in the race, and this one probably wins. It's kind of like Jordan beating everybody in the 90s. Patrick Ewing to Michael Jordan. Rebels Romance, the 4 horse I mentioned before, Tom. If I know a horse's name, this horse can't be bad. Rebels Romance, I know that horse. Charles Appleby, the trainer in here, Thomas, pretty interesting. He's had 6 entries into this race, 2 wins, 3 placings. That's a pretty good number in there. But if you check this out, this is William Buick's race, unquestionably about that. Entered 6 times, 3 of them he found the winner's enclosure, and in the other 3 he placed. So Rebels Romance, Charles Appleby's perfect record of finishing in the money or winning is not going to go away at 20 to 1. You did mention the 9 horses, one Auguste Rodin as one that you maybe considered in here. This one is your Breeder Cup Turf champion, so beat some solid horses in there. And even at 2 to 1, it's one of my favorite kind of racing horses, Tom. He's either all or nothing. He's won 7 times, got a second in there in 10 races, no third in there. And at the distance, 4 times, collected the big check 3 of those times. So if you think he's going to win, put him on top. If you think he's going to run off, stick him in 3rd. And then finally, number 5. Number 5. Am I messing this up again, Tom? Where are Stars on Earth in here? All right, number 11. That's the one I'm going to go. Why in the hell did I put 5 there?
Is it breaking from 5?
No, he's breaking from 8. So even if you subtract 8 and 5, you come up with, 11 and 5.
Yeah, you're out of luck on that math.
Yeah, there's no really. Anyway, Stars on Earth, with a little bit of racing luck and maybe someone who knows how to type, this one could have won pretty easily 9 of its last 10 starts. So she could have absolutely be competitive at the end of this race. So 12, 4, 9, and 11 for me, which brings us to the race, the big one. What are they running for, Tom, here? Like $1 billion?
12 million.
Yeah, 12 million. It's chump change, right? Terry could be the sponsor of this race. This is the Dubai World Cup.
He was last year.
Yes, it was brought to you by Terry, Hollywood Hay, and the Munchkins, the rest of the people in horse racing today. This one's 1 mile and 2 furlongs. So in American speak, it's 1.25 miles. So this one, they're going to start right about here, I would guess, Tom, right? Well, no, they're going to be on the dirt course. So.
They're on the dirt course.
So that's going to be 2,500 meters? Where is that going to be?
2,000 meters.
2,000 meters. All right. They're going to start here and a little bit more than one full turn around the track to the finish line there. So you got a little bit of time. Again, I don't want to get caught wide through those turns. So I think positioning is going to be important. That first turn, 3 or 4 wide, and your race is kind of over already. So either get to the
outside
front,
posts do not fare well.
Yeah. So get to the front or get to the rail. That would be my racing strategy, Tom. So your horse is going to be on the front. Is it going to be on the rail? What's it going to do to get to the winner's circle?
They're going to come at the end because I'm going to start with one of my 2 Japanese choices, and that's number 4, Dermat Satu Gatu, number 8, the break from. Won the UAE Derby last year over this course. Ran well. And they brought it to, ran well in other places too, and including the Breeders' Cup, which ran second. Had a troubled trip getting a 6th in the Kentucky Derby. They do spaces races out, and now they're bringing them back, and after a average effort in Saudi Arabia, but I think this is one of the ones to beat. He's proven himself over this track, just as the next one has, because he won this race last year. Mm-hmm. And that's number 11, Shubat Turasoro. Well, I know I'm mispronouncing it, and everybody else gets it right, and I don't. 5, I'm going to break from 5. He's a fast closing horse. He got nosed out or headed out, I should say, by Senor Buscador in Saudi Arabia. He won this race last year. His worst effort ever was in the Breeder Cup Classic, and that was one of the worst dirt races he's ever run. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he wins. He wins a lot, a few seconds here and there. But let's face it, you got 8 starts, you got 6 wins on the dirt, 1 second, and 1 fifth. That's pretty good. He won it 10-1 last year. You're not getting 10-1 this year.
No, you're getting 10-3 though.
Yeah. Finally, I'm going to take number 9, Newgate. My final choice going to be numbers post 6. Won by head last time out, grade 1 in Santa Anita. He's one of the horses that started the most this year and that's really interesting because he got 3 starts and he hasn't been on the money yet. Mm-hmm. And last year only raced twice. This is a horse they're obviously taking their time with in developing. He's obviously had some issues, but they got Dettori up and Baffert, and he's done okay in this race in the past. So I don't think he's going to hit the board.
Yeah, Bob Baffert. He's either the king or the prince of this race, Tom. So where you leave off is where I am going to begin. That is with Newgate. As I mentioned, Bob has dominated this spot. They got the good oats over there, too. 7 runners, 2 wins, 5 placings. So that's a horse he's been in the money 100% of the time. You might not win this race, Tom, but at 9-1, it might be the smartest bet in terms of keying in your exactas and your trifectas, of course, provided you're allowed to wager. Number 6, a little bit of a price horse for me, Thomas. Well, maybe not. 9-2. What do you call that? Kabrikin? Is that where we're going to go with that?
Well, I know it's Russian, and they're owned by people who live in never mind. I give up.
Yeah, they live there.
Yeah,
they can't pronounce it.
California, but by California Chrome.
Okay,
so
well, you can't pronounce the
he
horse
was pretty good. He was pretty good horse.
Well, what's interesting about this horse, Tom, he's run 11 times. He's got 10 wins and a second. That's a hell of a record. That horse knows where the finish line is. But he's been on this track 2 times, and the 2 wins, they were blowouts. So the horse can win, knows how to win at this course, and he wins by a lot when he wins. The one you started with is one I'm going to go with next, the 4-horse Derma Sorogak, maybe.
Sorogati.
Yeah, something along those lines. They'll tell us tomorrow. They they get the media guide with the phonetical spelling. So we're not afforded such luxuries. But this guy's probably going to be better in his second start after a layoff. The only time this horse ran at Meydan, Thomas, he won by damn near 5.5 lengths. So certainly took well to the footing. And then I'm going to go with the 14-1 shot next, Laurel River. Actually was really thinking about putting this guy on top, Tom. It was really a strong consideration for me. This horse came to life in its last race after spending a little bit more than a year on the sidelines. And then when you look at his past performance, most of his races have been sprints, very few routes in there. But the few times that the horse has gone a mile or more, he's been absolutely bleeping dominating. It's going to be the furthest Laurel River has run in his life. And if that domination trend continues, the longer he goes, he's going to win this one by 20, Tom. And that wraps it up. I don't think he'd win by 20, but maybe he'd win at 14-1 at a big price. And he has been really dominant when he's gone long. That wraps up all of our Dubai picks. Of course, we'll put all of our thoughts and comments and all the above over in horseracingtoday.net. I'll put that up a little bit later on tonight. I'll also link to past performances, free past performances that are provided. Yeah, I don't know if they're provided. I know Brisnet has them for free. I don't know if I can.
Brisnet daily racing form. You can get it off Sky Sports. You can use the one you're using, Racing. And Racing and Sport has it, which is an Australian site. So, and if you want to really get desperate, you can always go to the UAE website. You'll have to you can't download it very well, but you can handicap it right from your computer.
Well, that's what I used the Brisnet ones to kind of go through things. And there was a couple of other, I Googled around and spent a little bit of time in Google. Like I said, I was up to early morning, and it's a lot of great information. Some of those trends I found through all the different research that I was doing. So hopefully some of it pays off, staying up to 2 a.m. for the big races and then getting up at 7 so I can go get some work done. But any idea? We're doing some big stuff this weekend. Again, Tom, Florida Derby, wagering guide available over at Horse Racing.
Go
ahead.
No clue.
No clue. I mean, coming off of
this.
this.
To be honest with you, this one consumed a lot of time. These are tough races.
It's a little bit of a letdown, next week, but that's all right. We'll bring our A game as always on 4 and Friday. Again, Florida Derby. There's a link down in the description below to Guaranteed Tip Sheet where you can get all of our picks for that, along with the Arkansas Derby and the wagering guide for the Florida Derby. Make sure you check that out. Again, there's a link in the description for Guaranteed Tip Sheet. And every single day we have a free track over there. No idea what we're going to do tomorrow. I know Terry and I will be back Monday and Tuesday for Parks, Wednesday and Thursday for Gulfstream, and somewhere along the line on our social sites below, Horse Race, the number 2 day on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We will mention where we'll go ahead for 4 and Friday. Of course, while you're here, if you like what you see, I want to say thank you to Yaman Reitman, Jack Fote. I'm sorry, I can't read because my eyes are bad. Max Negron, and of course, James Schuler for the thumbs up on Facebook. We appreciate that. Same thing goes for YouTube. Share our content. Tell your friends about us. That's about it. Thomas, any final thoughts before you and I get on with our Friday nights?
If you can figure out the Uruguayan form on the horse, please tell me, because I sat there and scratched my head looking at it going, yeah, it looks like a decent horse, but at this level?
Well, some of the stats I found were the countries the horse did pretty well. And I mentioned that throughout sprinkled that throughout my comments. But I did notice that we didn't really need to do a whole lot of research on the Uruguayan horses because they haven't done until the O goes, Tom, I'm going to bet against them. So I bet the Uruguayan horse. I just absolutely put it in the winner's enclosure. All right, Thomas, no matter what you're doing for the rest
it'll pay well if it does come in.
Yeah, well, it probably win now. So no matter what you're doing for the rest of this weekend, whether it's Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby, the UAE Derby, or the Dubai World Cup, and a bunch of great races in between, Thomas, certainly hope that every single thing you do has God's grace, God's favor, and all of your picks all around the planet end up in
the winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you on Monday and looking at the winners tomorrow at Dubai. Make it a great weekend.